The cold clang of helmets echoing off Ford Field's steel beams, the sharp sting of autumn air cutting through the roar of a hopeful crowd. It's that unmistakable buzz rising in Detroit as the Lions grind through the final scratches of preseason. You can smell the prep, thick and gritty, like grease on a wrench in a Hamtramck garage. But beneath the usual sound and fury, there's a low hum of uncertainty, a rattle in the locker room's joints, an invisible shift pulling tight on the roster. And yeah, if you're nursing weekend brews at a Lions tailgate, you need to be all ears this week. We're talking about the kind of moves and injuries that don't just shuffle depth charts. They break or build the spine of a team, still clawing its way out of seasons marked by heartbreak and near misses. So if you bleed Honolulu blue, lock it in, because this week's news has jaws dropping from 8 Mile to downtown. Now, Detroit football isn't for the faint of heart. Think back to the ghosts of Barry Sanders tearing through defenses then, the silent echoes after Calvin Johnson's retirement, or even the gut punch of that infamous 0-16 season, the kind of history that teaches you to brace for impact and appreciate the grind. That backdrop colors everything now. Every snap miss, every player limping off the grass. It's like the city's soul holding its breath. And amid this crucible, Dan Campbell's Lions are staging a slow, deliberate fight back to respectability. But here's the wrinkle: injuries aren't just setbacks. They're storylines unfolding. They redefine roles, test resilience, and decide if those almost moments last year can morph into playoff-worthy grit. But before we get to the barroom, whispers about who's hurt and who's clawing back, here's a call straight from the cold. Neon-lit streets to you. When those Detroit orange cones crowd the roads for Sunday tailgates, when Ford Field's concrete cradles yet another brutal winter game, don't just show up, bring every ounce of that city's relentless pride. Cheering isn't a pastime. It's a declaration. So crank your volume, pour your favorite brew, and let's get into what's really moving behind the scenes, because this off-season dance isn't about prettiness. It's about survival. All right, here's where it flips. One of the heartbeats. In the Lions secondary, Kirby Joseph is limping in and out of the picture, the whispers down at the practice field curling like smoke. Campbell's tight-lipped admits it's nothing catastrophic, but something we're managing, a phrase that's become the lingering fog over safety positions. Joseph's chest pains, nagging and undefined, have kept him off the turf more than on it, raising tension not just for him, but for the defensive backfield's fragile chemistry. A healthy Joseph means a lockdown secondary that can snap San Francisco's mojo like old-school Benny Blades, but if he falters, you're looking at a domino effect with the likes of Morris Norris also walking concussion protocols, leaving Detroit desperate to fill those cracks. Meanwhile, on the flip side of the injury report ledger, there's good news with wideout Tim Patrick lighting up drills again. After sidelining himself with an undisclosed bender, Patrick's back in full pads, snagging end zones and red zone drills with the ease of a vet who knows how to find space because, man, this offense is thirsty for that kind of reliable firepower. Beyond the flashy rookie chatter, Patrick's presence means fresh legs and reliable hands, something Ben Johnson's offense craves as it aims to morph into a punishing, balanced attack. Last season, Patrick's solid snaps and clutch catches made him more than a role player. He was one of those rare possessions who could steady a shaky drive amid rookie jitters. His return pushes rookie receivers not just to compete, but to prove they belong a storyline that could crack open some serious competition that Dan Campbell thrives on fueling. But here's where the locker room whispers get really interesting. Khalil Dorsey, the cornerback just activated from the physically unable to perform list, is easing back in with individual work first. His return isn't just a tick on an injury chart. It's a potential game changer in the Lions secondary, which has been patchwork at best without him. Campbell's approach to Dorsey's slow burn back to form echoes his coaching DNA note. Rush, just grinding through phases until you earn the trust to go full throttle again. The ripple effects on nickel packages and special teams could shuffle snaps in weird, compelling ways, especially with Malcolm Rodriguez, who's still hobbling in rehab possibly sidelined until October. Detroit's linebacker corps isn't the deepest pond, so every light at the end of the tunnel counts. And then there's the elephant or peck in the room. Edge rusher Ahmed Hassanein is reportedly going to be down for a while, the kind of injury that clangs like a bell in the background of any defensive front's ambitions. Dan Campbell isn't yet ready to say whether Hassanein will land on injured reserve, but losing a young pass rusher like him throws a wrench into the defensive narrative. With Mekhi Wingo pegged for a potential September return, and others still nursing injuries, the Lions' defense this year is skating on a knife's edge between toughness and shorthandedness. This could lead to more snaps for unproven backups, or force a change in how Ben Johnson schemes blitz packages when the edge rush isn't there to threaten QBs. By the way, a quick locker room note a fan near me at the last Lions tailgate swore. He saw a player sprint by team medics with a bucket of ice-cold Faygo. Maybe it was just Detroit spirit, but if anyone knows how to fight through pain, it's this city's team. Back to practice. Tim Patrick's full return also nudges Giovanni Manu, who missed a practice but returned to game action last weekend. With the offensive line still a work in progress, every little bit of depth is like fuel for the engine, especially with Tristan Colon still sidelined with that persistently stubborn elbow injury. But here's where the suspense tightens. Two players, Zach Horton, Tay, and Broderick Martin, went down late in practice with nebulous injuries that no one's ready to talk about yet, turning Tuesday's practice and Thursday's media session into potential nerve centers for breaking news. If these injuries linger, it could add yet another layer of strain to depth charts, forcing Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson to shuffle game plans in ways that might turn the last preseason game into a punishing reveal. So as Detroit fans warm up their winter gear, the question hanging thick isn't just which players can suit up for the Texans Thursday or Saturday, whether the Lions can keep the momentum minted from last season's playoff flirtation without unraveling behind the scenes. Could Kirby Joseph's conundrum mean more snaps for an up-and-comer, blazing trails and rewiring the defense's future? Can Tim Patrick really stake a claim as that clutch veteran voice amid a noisy rookie war room? And what if this injury cloud around Hassanein and others forces Detroit's defensive front into an unexpected reimagining? The cap chain may jangle, the snap battles may swing, and rival teams are already watching closely, sensing opportunity. This week's injury drama isn't just about pain or recovery. It's a crucible where Dan Campbell's gritty philosophy collides with reality, the kind of moment that defines seasons and shapes Detroit football's restless soul. So keep your ear on the ground, your cold one cold, and ask yourself, who's going to rise, who's going to break, and when the dust clears, what face of the Lions will Detroit wake up to this fall? Rally cry deep in your bones, Detroit. The weight of what's hanging in the balance isn't just about a game tonight or a single injury. It's whether this season's grit finally breaks through or shatters under the pressure. Kirby Joseph's lingering chest pains are the first domino in a chain of tough decisions, the kind that could make or break our secondary's crown jewel status. If he can't go, who steps up? That question is a clenched fist, because in Detroit, every man counts. Every snap in the trenches echoes the ghost of past heartbreak, and that history demands blood, sweat, and unyielding resilience. Can we afford to lose Joseph's lockdown? Presence just as key NFC opponents like the Vikings or Packers are eyeing those fleeting windows of weakness? Reports say his health is fragile. Whispers swirl about a baffling limited practice schedule. And if that anxiety spills into the season, it's more than just a setback. It's a blueprint for disaster, because without his shutdown ability, the secondary could crumble faster than Calvin's star power dimmed. Meanwhile, Tim Patrick's full return sparks visions of a deep threat that Detroit has sorely lacked: great hands, reliable routes, yet every pass he snagged last week only raises the stakes for those rookies clamoring for their shot amid the chaos. If it's Patrick's veteran savvy that pushes the offense into the elite, then losing him again would amplify the rookie jitters and leave QB golf with fewer trusted safety nets. Because in Detroit, trust is earned in blood, in battles, not just on paper. And Campbell's got that fire to turn these scrappy pieces into a playoff-worthy machine. No more almost. No more heartbreaks. But here's where it gets deadly. Halil Dorsey's impending return could finally patch up some chinks in our battered secondary, revitalizing our nickel packages and giving veteran Edge Wiggins some breathing room. Still, his long road back makes every practice feel like a game of patience, nerves stretched thin. Trust built brick by brick because if Dorsey can regain his swagger, perhaps that's the missing piece to unlock a lockdown defense capable of shutting down even the fiercest offenses. Yet lurking behind all this hopeful rebuilding are whispers about Zach Horton and Broderick Martin, both hobbling off after late drills if their injuries linger. The depth chart tilt shifts dramatically, turning last week's optimistic depth push into a desperate scramble. The league chatter hints that Horton's injury might be more than just a scare, with insiders suggesting a possibly serious tweak, something the front office isn't releasing yet, but that could tilt the balance in critical moments, especially when playoff stakes are on the line. And make no mistake, the clock's ticking every Sunday that passes. The NFC North looks more vulnerable, more winnable, yet our own roster's health is teetering on the edge of collapse or triumph. The ghosts of 0-16 still haunt us, a brutal reminder that we can't just show up and hope. We've got to fight like hell, because Detroit's resilience isn't just about grit, it's our destiny. Tempted to think it's only injury drama? Think again. Every lineup change, every snap, every third down conversion has layers of consequence. One misstep, and those winnable games suddenly turn into heartbreaks, because the defense's next step hinges on who can stay healthy and who gets left behind. No room for error now. This is about survival, about paying homage to those who bled for this badge before us, about proving that hell yes, we fight isn't just a slogan, it's the bloodline of Detroit football. So the question sharpens. With all these injuries, the roster's a ticking time bomb ready to explode or be tamed? Will Campbell gamble on the last-minute gamble that could swing everything, like rolling the dice on a rookie safety? Or trusting the unproven secondary stars to absorb the storm while we pray that Joseph's chest holds fast one more week? It's gut check time, and every second counts, because right now, the front office is staring down the decision of whether to pull the trigger swap in that promising new linebacker, push a young safety into the fire, or gamble on a risky veteran. Move before the deadline slams shut and this fragile puzzle falls to ruins. In Detroit, that's a moment where every heart pounds for the city's pride. Every block, every tackle, echoing the past lessons, bitter, glorious, and relentless. And I tell you, if they don't find a way, if the injuries, the lineup, hamster wheel, keep burning new holes in this roster, then the season's destiny might be sealed. One last drive, 4th and 1, cold wind howling, the clock bleeding out, and the Lions face the ultimate question. Do they all in, trust the underdog, or fold against the odds, knowing the decision now could carve their future into history or bury it? That's the moment we live for, the raw, unfiltered test of grit and fire. Because in Detroit, we're not just fans. We're warriors, standing tall, watching the line between glory and ruin blur in the cold, unforgiving night, waiting for the fateful call that could turn the tide forever. What's it gonna be, Lions? Gamble for the season, or fold and fight another day? And right when you think you've seen it all, the final, crushing thought hits. With the clock ticking and the roster on a razor's edge, all eyes turn to Campbell's nervous stare, because in this city, legends are born in chaos, and the moment this season hinges on is just about to explode. If only they can get that last savage push. This is Detroit, and the season's fate lies in the balance, teetering on a razor's edge as the final seconds lean toward inevitable chaos. And as the players huddle for that last definite snap, one question remains forever burned in every Detroit heart. Will this be the season we finally break through? Or will everything shatter into the dead silence of what could have been? The answer's in the air, waiting to be claimed, as the cold night whispers of destiny. And in Detroit, We know better than to turn away when the stakes are this high.